If the foundation is not strong, how is the building going to stand tall? We are not here to come and change anything that you have. We are only here to enhance.
Lot which happens, but nothing which really gets implemented at the grassroots level. We talk about holistic learning. Holistic is a huge term.
You all had smart teachers, So you were talking about smart educational tools or interactive tools, right? So in our days, we used to have smart teachers, and one interactive tool was there, the 2-foot ruler. So that was the only tool is being used on us, and I'm very thankful that is being used on us.
Most of the time I see that a lot of school staff, admin staff, teachers, they are into the paperwork. Admission forms, inquiry forms, fee payments, attendance registers and all that stuff. And a lot of time that goes in managing this paperwork can be spent with children.
They get 40 minutes of humanities, then 40 minutes of science, then 40 minutes of maths. And we know in early years, one story session covers all those curriculum areas. So I could talk about curriculum, multidisciplinary, early years education for hours, but I think there's some key messages we've heard. And I think, for me, I've been in many, many schools. I used to live in the UAE.
Thank you everyone for coming over here today, and it's truly my honor to have you all here. Since we are discussing about the business quality and the learning tools, time is evolved and it's still evolving. Things are not same. Now we are talking about preschools beyond academics. By now we were just learning about like ABC, 1, 2, 3, whereas we are talking about the holistic development, the overall development of the child. So here today we'll be discussing about all the learning tools and how the technology is taking us forward and how the time has evolved and what are the best practices we can bring it forward for the preschools nowadays. So I'm coming up with my questions, and I want all of you to please come up with the answers with your experience, and especially with the learning that all the preschoolers can take them with today, and they can make the better changes wherever it is required. So my first question is to Ms. Sunita Krishnan. So for me, how do international accreditation, quality assurance, compliance and teacher training help preschools grow? And how does CEC support educators in building successful years of institution, please?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Am I audible? All the way to the back? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Chandigarh, for your hospitality. To the entire Chandigarh wing and all these ladies that have put so much effort to make this event such a successful event. Thank you so much for hosting the Canadian Education Council. And yes, let's come to the question now. So we're talking about international accreditation, right? Yes. So the word international, what does come to your mind when you hear the word international?
Like we all talk about, there is a term that I'll just bring it forward, like we talk about like Montessori and everything. There are many schools which write international or Montessori, but they are not bringing those practice.
Okay.
That independent play, which is that we just talk about the IB board and IGSC and like the Montessori practices which are being actually happening in international places, I would say that, not board. So this is what come into my mind that yes.
Okay. So what actually comes to any person's mind? I'm not talking just education. I'm talking from any layman's perspective. The thing that comes to their mind when we talk about international is quality. When a school puts international or global in front of their name, you would see that their admissions are skyrocketing. The reason is because the parents are looking at quality assurance. They feel, okay, there are probably, good qualified teachers, or they're probably bringing in some curriculum from Cambridge or IB or some other country, which is going to enhance the quality of learning for my children. That is the perspective any individual has when they think about international. So accreditation, what the Canadian Education Council has done, so we have come to India because we've been invited by the government of India So we are working towards successfully implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. And we are aligning with the policy to provide a framework to the country. Foundational years was never our target when we came. It was more K-12 schools and universities. But now we are taking foundational years because, like everybody knows, if the foundation is not strong, how is the building going to stand tall? So that is why we have incorporated foundational years into our accreditation model. And how we support accreditation is we are not here to come and change anything that you have. We are only here to enhance. Just like with time, you change your car. You know, you're tired of the same car. Okay, I want to go for a better car. I'm probably going to paint my walls. I'm going to better my house. So that is exactly, you're improving the standard of living. You're improving your quality of life. And that is what accreditation is. We come to your school. We observe your curriculum. We observe your interaction, teacher interactions. And we support you and give you a better framework to make these children global. We're talking about tools today. Today I'm sitting here and my son and my family is in Canada and we're video calling every day. This would have not been possible in the 90s. When I went to Canada in 90s, we had nothing. You know, it was only Skype maybe or, emails. So it's changing, we are evolving. So international accreditation speaks about globalization. It speaks about making these children ready for the 21st century. And that is how our work is in this country right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a really nice answer. And I'm sure the persons who are actually trying to bring some change in their preschools, it will be helpful for them.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
having
for
me.
answering, ma'am. So we all talk about the holistic learning, though I say it is a very wide term. वो कहते हैं ना जैसे आत्रेय सर ने कहा हमें बनना तो है पर कैसे बनना है ये नहीं पता. So this is my question to you, Indrajit ma'am. So here I just want to come up with that. In today's rapidly evolving world, how important is holistic learning alongside academics in shaping child emotional, social, creative, and cognitive growth? And the best thing I really want your insights on that. How you think school can nurture confident and a future-ready individual beyond academics? How a school and educators can give their support to break this change forward?
Good afternoon, everyone. And firstly, a big thank you to you to invite me and to Sunena, who introduced me to this. And this is the first time that something like this is actually happening in Chandigarh. So a big round of applause for Prarambh. It's very nice. It's a very good endeavor because till now, the pre-primary section is a neglected section. You know, there's lot which happens, but nothing which really gets implemented at the grassroots level. We talk about holistic learning. Holistic is a huge term. It's not large, it's huge. And just to think that the educator or the school alone can bring about holistic change is a fallacy. Okay? For that, you really need the support of your parents, a very big support from the parents, because whatever you may do in those 2, 3, maximum 4 hours that the child is spending with you are really not sufficient and really not enough until or unless the same can get implemented within the 4 walls of the house. Children come from very diverse backgrounds. They come from households which can be very disturbed. It's really amazing, but we really do not get deep into the psychology of the child, the psychology of the family, and then take it up from there. For us to say that we will contribute to holistic learning and in that we also include the spiritual aspect. A very huge term. When you go through Google, it is one of the terms that we try to teach through holistic learning. Okay? We cannot even touch upon the spiritual aspect. We are a secular country with so many religions, so many mindsets. Hence, we must take all of that into consideration when we talk of holistic. And yes, as a take from what was said by the lady who led us through the brightening exercises, you know, it is your life's experiences and the color that we add to the child's life, to the joy that we can add to the child's life, creates it to become holistic. But we have to remember no monotony. We have to remember repetition also. Repetition can lead to monotony, but the only way to really take it forward is to have it as a practice slowly, make it a learning every day, and for the child to go back home happy. I would tell my parents when I was heading in YPS, we are a day boarding school, so they would eat their lunch and go home. It was very strange. But every parent, because I would stand at the gate to bid adieu, say goodbye to the babies, and the parents would pick them up and ask them, Aj ki khada si? Means, what did you eat today? You know, that is where the parent's idea about a child being happy probably ends. So my suggestion for holistic learning is a lot more hands-on, of course, a lot more. Whatever you do with your hands, you don't forget. Whatever you learn by rhyme, you don't forget. So a lot more fun via music, a lot of music, a lot of art, a lot of creativity, a lot of craft helps you learn holistically. Because experiential is the word of the day. Without experiential learning, nothing becomes holistic. And when I say for parents, I request all preschools to please include parents into whatever you do. It's amazing with the suggestions they come up. Do not be afraid of parents. Somewhere, as an institute, we are afraid of parents. We feel the parents are going to contradict whatever our policies are. But the moment it becomes inclusive, policies actually bloom. Include parents. And for that inclusion, you need a lot more interactive sessions with parents. You need a lot more. Should I wait? You need a lot more teaching to parents. Parents become parents without a manual. No child is born with a manual. All of us, every parent, learns the moment they become a parent, not before that. So, we need to hold their hands. We have the experience, we have the capability of taking them forward. Many a times when we tell parents, you must give choices to your children. Choices. Parents are quite flummoxed because they don't know how to give a choice. But it's very simple that their choices can be huge, wide, maybe 10 things at a time, but the little mind doesn't comprehend with those 10 choices. So for breakfast, if you want to give a choice to your child, you ask your child, what kind of a toast will you have? Will you have it with jam or will you have it just with butter? You've given a choice, but yet you've restricted the choice. So hence, it's easy for the little mind to take it in. When we talk of holistic, we become very, very big. Holistic is not immediately that the child will be confident, not immediately that the child will be independent. You need to give them things in small doses. Make them independent by having cubby holes in your classroom, where all the stuff that belongs to the child is there. Make them walk up to pick up the things. Make them get their notebook back to you. Make them get their clay back to you and tell them, now you work. We are afraid because we do not want to displease our parents by making our children clean up the classroom. We are scared of the parents that the parents are going to turn around and say, आज तो हमारे बच्चों से क्लास साफ करवा दी. ये कैसा स्कूल है? But slowly start doing it. Try to introduce some time when they tidy up. Give these things better terminologies. Say, okay, now we are tidying up. Let's tidy up today. Spend those 5 to 10 minutes before going home doing that. And do teach them through a lot of craft activity, a lot of music, their mind starts working. Everything you remember. I think many of you are not from my era, but yet you might have heard that tune of Doordarshan when Doordarshan started. It still rings a bell that something is going to begin now. So begin a classroom day like that. It's holistic. Give them a lot of love. It is holistic. Come down to their level. It's holistic. And the best way to handle a tantrum and yet be holistic is to sit down on the floor with your child and address the child eye to eye. I walked into a classroom. I am 5 feet 8.5 tall. So when I walked in and this little child sitting on the chair looked at me and said, "Ma'am, aap kitne bade ho?" You know? So we are actually huge for them. All of us. Come down to their level. Be the person that they can relate to. And a lot of love, a lot of affection is required, a lot of understanding for them to become totally holistic. Your empathy teaches them to be empathetic. A child gets hurt in the classroom, tell the other child to look after this child. The empathy is the basic term required to become holistic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Since we all know that child learn what they see, and that was very well said in your statement that you have told, I guess. You have given few suggestions that we as in preschoolers and certain educators present over here can bring those things in practice in classroom. And I'm sure it will bring a lot of difference. So coming forward with some learning tools that we talk about that we have nowadays, as I say, the time has evolved over the period of time. There are numerous learning tools. And with this, Ajit sir, my question comes to you. How can smart learning resources, interactive educational tools, improve learning outcomes in early and primary years? Because nowadays, when we talk about resources, there is no limit to it. We as kids have grown up studying NCERT. Do you think that is sufficient, or the various ranges that we have as a learning tools? how these things can bring as an overall development of a child in a school.
Okay. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and good afternoon, everyone. Samriddhi ma'am, I'm wishing everybody, as per new education policy, 2 regional language and 1 foreign language. Okay. So, so as far as, so we all agree that we all are sitting in this room just because we all had smart teachers, So you were talking about smart educational tools or interactive tools, right? So in our days, we used to have smart teachers, and one interactive tool was there, the 2-foot ruler. So that was the only tool is being used on us, and I'm very thankful that is being used on us, and that is why we all are sitting here in this room. I think, ma'am, you agree with this. So now, the question is, smart classes, new technology coming up, new teaching aids coming up. The point is not, about the technology. The point is about how much technology we have to use and how we have to use. What is happening in schools, every school is using smart classes. Every school is using all new books. Interactive books are there. Curriculum books are there where all the books are integrated. But the question comes, how to use it? Schools have, for example, in one area, there are 2 schools are there. Both are using the same curriculum or the same books, but one is doing very well, another is not able to do very well. The point is the faculty who's using those tools, they are not being trained properly that how to use those particular tools. So according to me, these educational tools which we use, so the regular training is required, Regular training is required, the one who are educators, who are using it. So number second is these smart classes, they are very, inclusive. They're very inclusive and for example, according to Indian education system, we have 25 to 35 students, maybe probably in one class, different learning attitude, different minds, different languages, different background. These all children are sitting. So we can't have this smart tools, these small apps which has come up, they make the learning procedure very uniform. So that increases the teaching efficiency of a teacher and the learning efficiency of our students. So according to me, I'm working with more than 100 plus publishing companies, Indian as well as international companies. I'm working with from past 26 years. And these, the kind of education tools, they are coming up. They are fantastic. The kind of books which are coming up, especially for the preschoolers, interactive books are there, lift and flap books are there, sound books are there. So all these books, and now these books are already gelled up with the kind of a curriculum which schools want to teach their children. So the smart classes, according to me, should be used in such a way where human touch is not missing. Because I come from armed forces, I'm from a defense background. We've been taught कि लड़ाई हथियारों से नहीं, हौसलों से जीती जाती है. So the point is कि we have a technology, but using it wisely can bring wonders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's so rightly said. Obviously, screens are the one-way mode. You need teachers, you need facilitators to make it two-way mode. So we can use these learning tools to make it more productive, rather just leaving them on their own. Thank you so much, sir, for this. So going forward, when you're talking about learning tools and so many things, something that we are here to talk about the business quality, but here I will just mention something personally I feel. We are still education industry, we are not in business. But somehow this word is being said so many times. And we are not entrepreneurs, we are edupreneurs, but I feel maybe a new term, maybe something which should be added to the dictionary, I say. But yes, we are edupreneurs, and we are still fighting many ways how to make it nice, refined, even to enhance the quality and the best working for the teachers. For this, my questions comes to you, Atul sir. How you think this technology can bring a difference for this matter? What are the biggest challenges you feel that educational institutions face today? And how can collaborations between educators, tech providers, digital platforms, such as ERP systems, enhance operational efficiency, parents' engagement, and overall learning outcomes? How it can help actually a preschools to come up and make things well aligned instead of creating even on a pressure on teachers as well. Because if we want our teachers to be available for students, they really need to be taken off some burden. How these technology can help nowadays to the preschoolers? Please help us with that.
Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me here, ma'am. And you have been associated for 9 years using technology at your school. So you are pretty much well aware about the benefits that the technology is bringing at the school level. But this is a very interesting question you have asked. And I have been associated with preschools for almost 10 years. And every time if I speak from a school perspective, most of the time I see that a lot of school staff, admin staff, teachers, they are into the paperwork. Admission forms, inquiry forms, fee payments, attendance registers, and all that stuff. And a lot of time that goes in managing this paperwork can be spent with children. And technology is there to help you to automate these kind of things so that you are able to save time to spend time with the children. Another thing that I have seen happening especially with preschools is a lot of thing happens on gut feel. Now you're talking about admissions, you're talking about managing your inquiries. A lot of thing happens on gut feel. Schools take packages like Just Dial, spending 20K, 30K and year. But if you ask them how many inquiries did you get from Just Dial or how many conversions did they happen, nobody has any idea about it. There is no track on how the inquiries get followed up. At least 30 to 40% inquiries are lost just because follow-up is not done on time. So there is not a parent, it's not that parent is not interested, but it's more of a process problem, that the process is not there to keep a track of all these things. And that is where technology is going to help you in managing this stuff so that you are not losing admissions in there. The third very important thing which I feel is the WhatsApp trap. Now schools feel that we are using WhatsApp, that means we are using technology. Now WhatsApp is unstructured. You cannot leverage the communication that is happening. It is completely untracked. So, and it's not a school management tool. So at any point of time, WhatsApp is not going to make sure that the processes that you are following in the school are falling in place. Now, coming from a little business perspective, as you mentioned about edupreneurs, now schools with lesser strength, 30 to 50 kids, typically would say कि हमारा WhatsApp से काम हो जाता है and we can manage things out there, which is, I completely agree with them. At this strength, you really do not need a technology for your operational purposes. But technology is not only for operational purposes, it is both operational as well as business perspective. So technology is helping you gather better business, more admissions, more enrollments, even if you are at a strength of 30 to 50 kids. So I'll give you a simple example. Typically at a preschool, most of the preschools, the kids' learning ends at the door. Once the child is at home, a lot of schools give libraries, a lot of schools give homework, worksheets to do at home. But how many schools actually track what is happening and how much impact has that happened at the home? As an early learning platform, it is the responsibility of the preschool to ensure a 360-degree development of the child. And curiosity, language, emotional intelligence, all this cannot happen in 3 hours in a class, in a school. So learning has to go not just beyond the classroom, but beyond the school also, where the child is connected at home also. And I feel with the parents today, they are far more aware about what is happening. They are far more aspire for their child to learn more. And they look for resources out there where their child can get engaged and get more learning at home. And most of the first-time parents, since they are not aware about the resources, phone or the screen time, Instagram, YouTube, they becomes the easiest source to do that. And I feel at this level, this is a big gap that a preschool should fill. In fact, they should own this gap, that you are there not only just at school, but at home also. You are able to connect those dots for the parent, where the child-parent learning. Now, this can be done via curated content, things like stories, things like curated parenting, that a parent can easily get access to. And this becomes one of the USP factors for any preschool. Now, when a school is providing that kind of experience to the parents, one, not only you are helping in the child's learning and development, second, you are building that school's trust and retention. And most of the preschools, you are having admissions via references. And this helps you build that reference, build that retention, build that trust out there. I'll give you a small example about my daughter. She is close to 4-year-old now. I started stories almost 1.5 years back with us. Today, she will literally cry if she does not hear a story before going to bed. So what started with us was a routine exercise. It became kind of a remarkable experience. The kind of growth that we have seen, the way she grasps the concepts, the way she has able to make connections, the way she is able to express herself at this age. For us, it is genuinely a very, very pleasant surprise. And we feel this is a gap, and this has not happened only in classrooms. This has happened because a lot of time gets spent with the parents at home also. And that is where I feel it is a huge opportunity for the preschools, especially when we see a lot of things happening in terms of fees. We see a lot of problem happening where you have a competition related to fees. So this is something where technology can actually play a big role in providing you that right platform where we can engage with the kids, where the technology can help parents to engage with the child via preschools out there. From a parent perspective also, parents are aware about early years if I compare today with 5 years back. Parents are far more aware, want to give more and more facilities to their kids so that their child learning is continuously happening out there. And if the schools, technology is a platform where now schools can shift from being only a service provider to a development partner. And having a right technology which is easy to use can play a big role. Now, one of the questions that we see is, हमारा staff बहुत tech savvy नहीं है. हमारा staff operate नहीं कर सकता. Now, I'm not talking about complex technologies like LMS, inventory management and other things. I'm talking about simple communication. So अगर आपका staff WhatsApp कर सकता है, आपका staff Instagram चला सकता है, then you have a simple platform which is equivalent to this that can manage that kind of communication. So the bar is not very high when we talk about technology. The shift is primarily intentional. So at any point of time, technology is just not operational perspective, but from a business perspective, can help preschools grow themselves, and I call it preschool 2.0, where you are becoming a development partner for the parents. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atul sir. That was really nice. And I'm sure आज सारे tech savvy बन जाएंगे ना? आप इनका session लिया करो online, please. You must take that. Coming forward, you have put up a lot of things on parents. Now we are discussing about the business quality, what a teacher can do, what parent can do. So we are back again on something, the roots of any child, that's parents. So with that, my question comes to you, Julie ma'am. In today's increasingly competitive educational landscape, how can school balance academic excellence with holistic child development while still preparing children for the future? And does a parent play a role in that, or all the role lies with the school or with the teachers? What is your say on this?
Okay, thank you. First of all, may I say Thank you for the invitation here. I've only been living in India for 4 weeks. This is my first outing out of my house and school, so it's fantastic to meet so many people today, and I hope that we'll keep those connections open and going. I am an international educator. I've been leading schools in 8 countries for the last 23 years. And when I say countries, I'm talking about possibly many, many countries where their education system is not being so innovative, forward-thinking, globally perspective, holistic, possibly a very old model, a very traditional model. So my role in the last 23 years is actually, I've been doing a lot of transformational change in schools with governments and educations, and looking at a more forward-thinking, innovative way of learning and a curriculum. So that's shaped me to the person I am now. I've moved to India. I've been here 4 weeks, like I say. There's a new school which has opened, and I'm heading the school there. We've got girls from 2 to 14 at the moment. And one of the challenges that people keep telling me, Indian parents want academic excellence. Now, it's not Indian parents. It could be Peruvian parents. It could be Arabic parents. It could be Chinese parents. All parents really think they want academic excellence. And the reason for that is because we only see results with numbers in boxes, with children of certain ages perceived to be academic excellence. Now, if you're an early years educator, you know what early years excellence looks like. Okay, and I just want to say congratulations on getting so many voices out there for the early years educator and early years provision. It has been one of the parts of education which needs to catch up. It's the last one. I've heard this message many times this morning. It needs higher profile, higher content, and these events are the places to raise that profile in the sector, not just in Mohali and Chandigarh, but I think in the region. So I'm really, really pleased to be part of this, and congratulations for getting this off the ground. So, yes, we all know what academic excellence we think what looks like. And like you've talked about holistic education, what does that look like? These are words which are branded about frequently. And for me, I think if we look at early years, the rest of schools should have the same model as early years. It's multidisciplinary. We are learning so many things in those first 5 or 6 years, and then we pigeonhole subjects. So you may get 40 minutes of humanities, then 40 minutes of science, then 40 minutes of maths. And we know in early years, one story session covers all those curriculum areas. So I could talk about curriculum, multidisciplinary, early years education for hours, but I think there's some key messages we've heard. And I think, for me, I've been in many, many schools. I used to live in the UAE, and I've inspected many schools in the UAE. I've lived in South America. I've lived in Taiwan. And for me, the best schools that are graded between good and very good is the quality of the learning and the teaching. Now, most people say teaching and learning, that the teaching comes first. But actually, I prefer to say the learning and the teaching, because it's not just the children at school that are learning, it's the adults, whether that's the parents, or whether that is the teachers, whether it's the administrators or the policymakers. And I think fundamentally, everybody needs to learn pedagogy, how children learn, and what we need to provide to ensure the children learn. And I think I will constantly give that message, supporting parents, supporting teachers, supporting policymakers, in order that we can provide the best environment for young learners. We've talked about, I've heard many people talk about parents today and teachers. It does, you've heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. And that really is true. I'm sure you've all forgotten that phrase. I'm sure you used to say it last decade, but we need to start saying it a little bit more. Everybody's responsibility for a young child's education. And I've worked in schools where many families have got staff looking after the children. They've got drivers and nannies and maids and chefs. And in the schools I've worked with, we've encouraged anybody who's working with a child. That might be the speech and language therapist. That might be the nanny at home. Might be grandma. And we've run those sessions in multiple languages, so we are always inclusive. And that's what we've always maintained. Now, when you walk into a school and you hear that, I would say that's pretty excellent. That's where excellence shines, and that's where we see the difference between a good school and a great school, because we are providing the correct conditions for children to flourish. I could go on forever. Did you want to ask any other questions about that? There was something that's interesting. You've talked about books, we've talked about platforms, there's some counters at the back, providers of books, and I can see the bedtime stories. I had an interesting conversation with a parent. I did a parent workshop last week, and he said, at what age do I start reading with my child? I was quite shocked and tried not to show my shock. And I said, actually in the womb. Okay, now I have, this will interest you, I've got an Italian-speaking granddaughter and a Japanese-speaking grandson. We are truly an international family, as you can tell. And we all try and speak English when we're together, because that's the only language I can really master. And we were all together last Christmas, and all the children, my children and my grandchildren, were together, and there's a books around, okay? Now, there's a Spanish, and my children speak Spanish, so we have multiple languages. There's a Spanish book in front of the Christmas tree. So my son reads it in Spanish to my grandson, who cannot speak Spanish. Then my other son translates it from Spanish to English. The Japanese son then translates it from English to Japanese for his brother. And this one story has gone through 4 languages on Christmas morning. So that is academic excellence. That is inclusion, and that is the love of books. And that love of books and that literacy is spread across many languages and obviously earns a place in every classroom and in every house.
Thank you so much, Julie ma'am. This is something I guess we as preschool owners and some directors or the principals sitting over here, we think raising a child is solely our responsibility once they are a student. But yes, the learning starts from this age 0. And we can definitely guide our parents how to do and go parallelly. And I guess that is a really good thing that you have taught us today. And instead of taking all the burden on our shoulders, let's just try and guide parents parallelly. So with this, I would like to conclude this panel discussion and thank you each one of you for your valuable, insightful experiences and the guidance we all are taking back home today. Thank you so much for coming over here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.